Good morning. Welcome to my LinkedIn Live. Now, for those of you that have seen a few of my lives, you will know that when I come on myself with my few slides that I aim to keep it short and deliver a whole lot of value. And today I'm delighted to be talking about one of my favorite topics, which is LinkedIn lead nurturing. Now, anybody else who is seeing me regularly, you know that I love to get questions as we go. So I've got the comments here. I can see them in the studio. Sometimes they take about a minute to come through. So just let me know that you're here. Give me a wave and let me know. Are you looking at this from a sales perspective? Are you a marketer? Perhaps you're a business leader. I know we had about 400 people sign up for the event today, so I'm really keen to hear from you and see where you're coming from. And really, what is your experience with lead nurturing? Do you have a proper program in place? Is it something that happens as and when? What are you trying to get out of today? Now, what I want you to go away with are some really practical tips. Yes, we're going to cover some of the basics of lead nurturing. So if you're new to this, we will start from really some just solid techniques right through to some ideas that you may not have put in place before now. And we're going to cover that all in about the next 10 minutes. We might go up to 15, depending on questions that come through. So really do send your questions through. We've got time for that today. When we look at our deal cycle, when we look at our sales funnel, we really want people to go through discovery and then through levels of commitment until they neatly pop out with a deal at the end. But we know that our buyers are just not neatly traveling down our sales funnel. There are so many things that can come and take a deal away. It could be that a business then has a change of priority. You can think it's the strongest deal and it goes off. It could be that another vendor comes into play. But actually, more often than not, it's not competition that necessarily makes your deal not happen. Depends on your industry and what you're selling, of course. But more deals are lost just through inaction. And really what the problem is that we're thinking of our sales funnel and our sales process, whereas we really need to be thinking about the buyer and their process and trying to tap in wherever we can within the buyer process. And that's really where lead nurturing comes in. It's about staying front of mind wherever the buyer is in their process and being able to deliver the sorts of content and help that they need wherever they are in their decision. Now, of course, coming to decisions, one of the reasons that decisions aren't being made is that there are so many decision makers involved now. Sometimes people you would never imagine as well. It can be really hard to absolutely outline your decision-making committee. Even your clients don't necessarily know who else might get involved in that decision. And if you're involved in high value selling, there could be 20 people involved in this decision. Now, even outside of the decision-making group, there are people that are influencing things. There are people that are online themselves. Maybe they're on LinkedIn. They come across something that, oh, that looks like a good idea. Maybe we should do that instead of that. And it can really be throwing things off. So the decision-making committee is something that is really important to remember, because your competitors very often will be going for the budget holders. It is absolutely understandable that salespeople go straight after the money. That's actually why we're employed as salespeople, that we're looking at the goal and we don't let anything stop us from doing that. But lead nurturing comes in, and it's a slower part of prospecting. It's not as fast as going directly for the decision maker, but it might just be what you need to stand out. And if you're in a very competitive market, that I know a lot of us are, then actually standing out from your competitor is what's really going to help. And that doesn't necessarily mean spending the most on brand advertising. In fact, it definitely doesn't. These are the ways that you can be standing out on LinkedIn. First of all, be connecting with the wider buying group. And I don't just mean the 10 or 20 decision makers, I mean the peripheral influencers as well. You might find it's more the peripheral people who are more active on LinkedIn. And then that will give you more of an opportunity to be visible. So when those people are active, you then they're going to see your posts on LinkedIn more readily, but they will also see your engagement on their content. But actually, the more active people you engage on their content, then their colleagues will get to see it as well. Colleagues are more likely to see each other's posts because they get into an algorithm bubble, and it's about you getting into that bubble as well and being seen. And the law of reciprocity is alive and well on LinkedIn. It is human nature to give back more generously, or at least as generously, if you have given first. Now, what you mean by that? Sometimes I get asked, how do I comment authentically on my target audience's post? And actually, a bit of support goes a long way. Imagine you put a post out and it's really important to you, and it's just disappearing down the algorithm because 2 colleagues liked it and nobody gives it a comment. So sometimes it's really hard to say something meaningful on a post, but support generates goodwill. And what you're really looking out for is when you can add a little bit more, and you've just got to be in it and on that content to be able to find those opportunities. Because demonstrating expertise is something probably not new to a lot of you listening, but demonstrating expertise on posts is one thing, but you could also demonstrate expertise in comments. Now, it could be that your target, your strategic account is not that active on LinkedIn. Maybe they've not had a LinkedIn trainer like myself go in and tell them about the LinkedIn best practice. Maybe they've even been discouraged from getting onto LinkedIn. But actually, you will find that some of the people that you're trying to target will be commenting on other people's posts. So even just going and having a look at what they're commenting on and replying to their comments can go a long way. And if you get a chance to be able to add some value there, then even better. Now, what I don't mean by adding value is going on to a competitor's post and then, adding your links to your website or trying to steal their audience in any way. And really, it's about looking at the partners of your strategic accounts. It's by looking at the peripheral people that are maybe more active than your buyers and really getting involved, because there is an algorithm that's at play here. And the algorithm also works with that give to get. Now, a lot of people do put posts out that demonstrate expertise, but then they forget to say, what are the problems that you're solving? What can your service or product actually help your target audience overcome? And or what results you're getting for your clients. And sometimes, case studies do actually really work well on LinkedIn, but putting your personal story behind those case studies, I think it's really easy to do this adding value expertise and never really saying what problems you're solving. Now, I'm going to be talking at the end of this LinkedIn Live, this really short LinkedIn Live, about how a B2B tech company, a client of ours, was able to treble their pipeline value. So that's me showing some client results. It's really easy to miss it. I've definitely done that myself. And another way to stand out is to do something like this, to do a LinkedIn Live. Getting onto video, because your competitors often won't, can really make you much more visible. And it's not just about the impressions here. It's about the fact that you've been able to deliver more information more quickly and create that trust. If you can create really valuable content, it doesn't have to be video, infographics are going really well, content that people save and share with their colleagues, then that's going to really help, even if you're already in an organization in the middle of a deal, and giving people, your champions, content that they can share with their colleagues, that they're going to really be convinced that you're the vendor for them, will go a long way. So the content element of lead nurturing really needs to go alongside the likes and the comments and so on. The next way that you can really be nurturing your accounts is to connect strategically. Now, I mentioned that your competitors may just be going directly for the decision makers. Now, if your decision makers are your second degree connections already, and you've got lots of multiple connections, why not go for them? But very often when you're going into an account for the first time, they might be more distant in your network. They might be third degree or more. So my recommendation is to connect to the second degree people within that strategic account first. The reason being is that they're more likely to accept than a third degree connection. We've put a lot of data through this. We've tested it, and second degree connections are statistically more likely to connect than third degree connections. So add that rule into your connecting strategy, and you've already got a bit of a head start. Now, if your second degree connection is not in the right department, it doesn't matter, because once you're connected to that person, they are then connected to the departments that you do want to get into, because colleagues will very often connect to the company that they're working in. And so consider it like a leapfrog action. And once you're connected to some colleagues within the strategic accounts, you've opened up second degree in that whole account. And then also be looking for people who are active. For those tips that I was giving you before about liking and commenting on content, is going to give you far more opportunities to do that. But also they are going on LinkedIn. They're more than likely to see your post, and the fact that you've been engaging with their content will put your posts into the feed. So if you're trying to get your message through to people within your strategic account, then looking at people who are active, even if they're not your decision makers, is really important. We're actually finding one of our best types of common ground that we have within strategic accounts, people who are much more likely to respond to us in the inbox, are those that worked at the same past company as we did. So even if you didn't work at that past company at the same time, there is that really strong bond that you have with that person. If you've ever met them in person, if you've been to the same event and you've had a chat, all of those things, that real life connection can really help you to get into the strategic accounts. And if you're really struggling, go peer to peer. You'll find that if you're a salesperson, the salesperson in that strategic account is more likely to connect to you. And actually, if you help them out a bit, and they will help you out as well. And if you're connecting to all of those people before the budget holders, it's effective. And one of the things that is happening is that you can get referred in. And actually, referrals are great. We all know referrals are great. And you've got a higher chance of closing the deal. They're more likely to stay longer and so on. Have we ever thought about referrals as being the person you met cold on LinkedIn? You actually put some time in, created a relationship, maybe had a call and helped them out with something that they would find value from. Because according to the Sales Benchmark Index, if you have a personal connection with a buyer, such as a peer or a colleague at a target company, then you're 4.2 times more likely to get the appointment. And we're really seeing this work from using this lead nurturing and strategic account. For a long time now, buyers have been ignoring cold outreach. There were stats years ago saying 90% of your B2B buyers always ignore cold outreach. And LinkedIn didn't used to be part of that, and it is now. There is so much activity happening. There is a default, I'm going to ignore every connection request unless I'm standing out in that inbox. So you've got a real challenge. And that means that getting connected in the first place is the first challenge to look at when it comes to lead nurturing. Now, we can consider the tips before you like and comment 3 times on somebody's post before you then go and get connected. That's going to be a really good start. There's all sorts of things that people just are asking. Is it better to have a message in or not? We've been doing a whole load of tests to work out what are the best ways to get connected in. So if you're putting all of this lead nurturing at play before you even go after your decision makers, it takes a bit of resilience and a bit of patience, but don't give up, because they can be in your organization some superheroes that can come and make this a whole lot more effective. And your superhero is probably the peer of the C-suite decision maker that you're trying to connect with and sell to. Say you're selling to CTOs and you get your CTO to connect with the CTO of your strategic account first, then they're much more likely to accept that connection than somebody who is in a sales role. And sales is tough, and it's getting really tough on LinkedIn. So yes, you're standing out. Yes, you can do all of the good things. The savvy buyer still knows that you're trying to sell to them. And, LinkedIn is a place to do business. That's not a bad thing. But doing it in this way, by warming the lead up first, by having your colleague connect to them first, creating a bit of goodwill. If your colleague is posting, then you're warming that lead up to your brand so that then you can then connect later. Now, if you're lucky enough to be in an organization with a number of senior execs or subject matter experts that can connect with your buying group, your 10 to 20 decision makers and some peripherals first, then the results are phenomenal. Imagine you've got your CEO connecting to the CEO, the CMO to the CMO, the CTO to CTO, all of those people that are going to be sat around the board making a decision on whether to spend however much your service costs. What makes it even better is when the people who have connected to the CEO then also get connected to other people in the senior team. We call it cross-connecting. I believe other people call it multi-threading. Take your time to do that, and the posts start coming up in the feed more readily. You get into the algorithm bubble, which means that your content is much more front and center when your buying group are coming onto LinkedIn and you haven't yet sold to them. If you then connect your sales team with the same people who have connected with your senior exec teams, the results are incredible. So this bar chart here shows our B2B tech company. The blue bar is showing their connection acceptance rate when they go in cold. Now, because they have optimized profiles, our team have been optimizing those profiles, making sure that we're using the very best headlines, messages, and so on to get connected. They already have a 30 to 45% connection acceptance rate. However, when you take your time and you get your colleagues connected first, the pink bar is showing the uplift. You can see that some of the uplifts are about 15%. Others are more than double. In fact, across all of our clients that we do this with, we very often see across a team a double of connection acceptance rate when there is a lead nurturing program in play via other colleagues. And so that is the kind of lead nurturing program if you are doing high value B2B sales that is really winning on LinkedIn at the moment. Now, that B2B tech company that I'm telling you about, after year one of doing a lead nurturing campaign, their posts were seen, at 1 million impressions. I think we were 40,000 impressions off 1 million impressions in year one. But the interesting thing is looking at the demographics of each post. And you can see the strategic accounts that have been connected into through the senior execs are those companies that are viewing the posts the most. And so they've been really sort of warmed up in a targeted way. And all of those first degree connections, 2,700, are then going into the CRM for a future sales follow-up. So the nurturing continues, but then the same sales team as they have the previous year then get in touch. They're trying to book meetings with some of these more senior people in the team, and they're getting a much higher appointment rate. The end result being 3 times the pipeline value. So if you're thinking that it's possible to put a lead nurturing campaign like this in place for you to increase your pipeline value, I'd be very happy to speak to you about the strategy that might work for you based on your target audience. And you can see that from the things that we're saying that lead nurturing is really important, but at the heart of it, getting your connection accepted is going to be one of the goals, coming after and coming before, during, and after the lead nurturing. And we have tested so many things in what does increase your connection acceptance rate. Should you be putting a message in always, or is a blank request okay? What's the perfect headline? And what else can you be doing? Should you be changing on your profile anywhere else in order to uplift your connection acceptance rate? We're going to be sharing the results of our tests, and we've got a lot of data that has gone into this in our report that's coming out next month. If you would like to be sent a copy of this report, I know that LinkedIn is a busy place. You might miss it when it comes out next month. So Christina has added the link into the comments, and you can go straight to our website and add in your email address, and we will send you that report as soon as it comes out. Or you can just comment and we'll send it to you here on LinkedIn. So I want to thank everybody for attending today. I hope that there's been some good takeaway tips for your lead nurturing, and I wish you luck with it. And I will say goodbye until our next series of LinkedIn Lives, which will be talking about some insights from the research report. Bye for now.